on. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us for yet another live stream. I am here with Thomas, Calon, and Rhuagh, and today we're going to be looking at stuff going on in Egypt. We're going to be looking at a video by Holy Koolaid and one by Rationality Rules. No spoilers. You'll just have to wait until we get there. So, how is everybody today?
All right.
I'm pretty decent.
I'm good, except there's this stream that came on PolyOlogy. I'm going to exit this stream to go join that.
Hello.
But yeah. How's everyone in the chat doing?
Hello?
Hello.
Yes, okay, sorry. Apparently my headphones were... something went wrong. All right, shall we get started?
Something odd.
Didn't we agree that we were going to talk about the Egypt stuff first?
That's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing.
That is why Mr. Atheist is on the screen talking to us about it or something.
Okay.
Yes. So I figured we'd...
With a shirt that says, Pawn.
All right, let's start with the video.
Egypt has a human rights nightmare on its hands right now, and especially for the LGBTQA+, or as you know, I prefer to call it the GRSM community. And before we get started, I need to make two disclaimers. The first one actually to YouTube, especially considering the milder content I have covered. I am confident that this will be flagged for demonetization, at which point I will send it for review. While I understand that much of my channel is more of social and political commentary, I implore you to consider that this episode is much more journalistic, and consider the fact that it will include a call to action because we are going to be fighting for human rights. And I would actually not be fighting to maintain monetization on this episode if it hadn't been demonstrated time and time again that demonetized episodes have a limited reach compared to monetization. YouTube absolutely pushes out monetized content more than demonetized. True.
It's kind of interesting to me that a company like YouTube already shows bias in this way.
Yeah, they're homophobic.
I don't know if it's homophobic, but...
No, it is. There's no way around it. It's systemic homophobia. Because they demonetize LGBT content like crazy, even if it is stuff that's supportive.
It's that, as well as the flagging algorithms just go with a huge brush on every sort of somewhat controversial topic, and again, LGBTQ issues are, I guess, part of that.
Yeah, pretty much.
I've also I've been watching I don't know if you guys know that channel, the David Pakman Show.
I've heard of that. And
they mentioned that they're having a lot of trouble with being demonetized, as well as that their recommendations are going down. The views they get from recommendations on YouTube, and their guess is that they're mostly focusing on like the big media, cable news networks, that sort of thing. So I'm wondering if there's not more going on behind the scene than just being homophobic in this case, if it's not just an entire advertisement pleasing system.
I mean, it could just be both.
Yeah, it's just...
Not true.
It's just plain homophobia, really. Anyhow, continue.
All right, let's...
If reach were totally unaffected, I would put out this video demonetized in the first place. Now, a second disclaimer to the people watching. Some of the subjects in here are going to be hard to listen to, as there will at least be some covering human rights abuses that have happened recently. Please take this under advisement before proceeding to watch. Otherwise, I'm Mr. Atheist. Let's do this. Today, we're going to be talking about Malak al-Kashef. Kashef is a 19-year-old transgender woman who has completed a medical transition, but is currently being held in a men's prison in Egypt. And that is just the beginning of the problem. But before I dive too much into that, I need to give you a little bit of history on what's going on here. And actually, before talking about Kashef, we need to talk about someone else, someone called Ahmed Allah. In September of 2017, Allah was attending a concert put on by an actual member of the GRSM community, a Lebanese band with a singer from the GRSM community. During this event, Allah draped over himself a rainbow pride flag, and photos of that were posted to Facebook. He would go to bed that night experiencing what he describes as the best night of his life, and then wake up to a fresh hell and nightmare. Immediately, he was being harassed and threatened with death. And then a few days later, he would be arrested. And this event would be credited as the beginning of the biggest crackdown in years toward the GRSM community. Now, you have to understand this too. In Egypt, it's not technically illegal to be homosexual or a member of the GRSM community in general. However, their laws are written extremely ambiguously. And so because of this, religiously based values are able to be enforced legally. And so you see it in more places than others within the country. So in Egypt, unfortunately, people are regularly being punished for their sexual identity or their perceived or their suspected sexual identities. This all done under the guise of trying to prevent deviancy. And the laws most often cited are those against habitual debauchery. And in the months that came, Allah faced hell in a prison as he was facing criminal charges. His case actually got international attention too, which actually spared him something that happens a lot. During these investigations into debauchery, it is not uncommon for something called a forced anal examination to happen. This investigation, as you can probably guess from the name, is extremely invasive. It is physically terrible. And the severity of it have had it labeled torture by organizations like Amnesty International. This is a common thing that those being investigated for being debaucherous have to go through. But Allah was actually one of the few people who were spared this because of the international attention on his case. However, his time in prison was still hellish, with him having to be kept separate from other prisoners, many of them being ISIS related, having to hear sounds of the entire prison chanting his name, calling him derogatory words, and ultimately trying to raise excitement for his death. This is just one of many cases, and the extent to which this crackdown has happened has honestly been ridiculous. For example, you had an Egyptian TV host who was actually sentenced to a year of hard labor for having a gay sex worker for an interview, face blurred and everything, for an interview on his program. The host, whose name is Mohammed Al-Geti, by the way, he and the interview were not remotely sympathetic to...
What was that?
It's Mohammed Al-Bakhadi. Yeah, I remember that. Egypt is just a fucked up place, to be honest.
It really sounds like it.
Especially after the revolution. I think they're still under a junta, from what I recall.
Aren't they under President El-Sisi, though?
I think Sisi was pushed out.
Oh, really?
I mean, I can check.
I was Googling already.
I think El-Sisi is still in power from what I've seen.
Yeah, El-Sisi.
Yeah, things have gotten so bad in Egypt that many are saying that the entirety of the Arab Spring should be considered a failure because of it.
I mean, their government is sanctioning rape just because of someone's perceived sexuality or romantic attraction, which is absolutely fucking disgusting.
It is. It very much is. I almost heaved at the Mr. Atheist's description of the forced anal examination.
Okay, I'll continue.
That's rather a disturbing thought, to be honest. All right, let's
The
continue.
GRSM community or GRSM causes. But he has been punished for exposing others to that kind of debaucherous lifestyle, for the promotion of such debauchery. And this brings us back to the case of Malak al-Kashef. Kashef is currently being detained in a men's prison in Egypt, specifically the Torah men's prison. And remember that she is a woman, but because the process of getting your identification changed is so complicated that it is often impossible, she is being identified as male and being kept with men. For much of this time, she's been kept in solitary confinement to try and protect her from that situation. However, going forward, especially if she is convicted on these charges, there is a heightened risk of her being introduced to the general prison population, and she will be exposed to a heightened risk of rape and sexual assault in prison. Something that is confusing and really tragic is that her initial detention does not actually cite her gender identity as the problem. On February 27th in Cairo, there was a major train crash at Cairo's central station. And many of the people blame the government because of a crumbling infrastructure that is not improved under their new president. This new president, Abdul Fattah al-Sisi, is extremely intolerant of anyone who is critical of him and his government. And so the crime that Kashef has been brought in for was supporting peaceful protests.
What was that?
So yeah, that's Egypt for you.
Yeah,
Fascism, the police state, but using the term president to make it seem less so.
it seems like a really awful place, to be honest.
Yeah, it is.
Against the government regarding this train crash. And so while her trans identity isn't cited as the problem, it obviously was also the problem and part of the reason why she was targeted, because she was brought into jail on March 10th. And on March 10th, she was forced to undergo a medical exam that included a forced anal examination. It was revealed that she had to undergo that as well as other forms of sexual assault by the medical staff. We've heard this through her and from her lawyers. So while she was brought into custody for supporting a peaceful protest, which is already in and of itself a problem, they began one of those investigations they do for a debaucherous lifestyle. And they renew the request for detention every couple weeks and extend it 15 days at a time. The most recent time was this last July 3rd. So then the question becomes, what can we do about it? And the good news is not nothing. There is a two-pronged approach that I would like to suggest we all take. Part one is a little bit easier. Part two will take some work. And I'm really hoping that a large number of you will take on part two. Let's start with part one. We already know from past cases that Egypt tends to act differently when eyes are on them. And so the first part of this approach, the easier part of this approach, will be sharing this everywhere. Get this information out everywhere you can. If you are a blogger, blog. If you make videos, make a video. Share this video in particular on social media, or if somebody else you like covers this, share theirs. Also, if you have access to other creators, encourage them to make a video on this topic. And you can do so by sending them my video or other resources. Again, I don't need this all brought back to me. That's not what this is about. Well, yes, it will be extremely useful to send it to any atheist creator or religiously related creator that you know on any platform. It would also be useful to send videos like mine and resources that are out there to creators.
What was that, Calon?
I said, hey, we're the religious creators.
Yes, that we are apparently.
And we got this out faster. We win.
Yay! Wait, it's a race these days?
A race to get this out, yeah.
Like
All
Philip
right, so-
DeFranco, you can
Sorry.
No, continue.
tweet him specifically or other creators that are out there that similarly cover world news. Exposure absolutely compels this government to act differently. And right now we want to focus that eye and that action toward getting Malak al-Kashef released from prison. The second thing you can do, and this is where a little bit more work is going to come in, because I'm going to ask you to send a fax. Down below, you are going to find a link to a PDF compiled by Amnesty International. This link will include a lot of the information I've just given you, but this PDF also includes a model letter to be faxed to the public prosecutor, Nabil Sadiq. And it gives you the information for faxing to him. And they suggest that you either use the model letter or write something in your own words. Let me go over with you real quick what this model letter says. Dear Counselor, Malak al-Kashef is a 19-year-old transgender human rights defender currently arbitrarily detained in solitary confinement at the all-male Mazraz at Torah prison. On March 6, 2019, Malak was abducted by National Security Agency officers from her family residence in Giza in relation to her online post calling for protests following the 27th of February fire incident at Ramses train station in Cairo. On 2nd of April, a Supreme State Security prosecutor extended Malak's 15-day arbitrary detention for a third time. And actually, just so you know, this has continued to happen I think 4 more times since then. The most recent one, again, being on July 3rd. I'm including that so if you do use this model, you know to update that information. Malak is facing trumped-up charges of aiding a terrorist organization and misusing social media to commit a crime punishable by law in case 1739/2018. Malak was arrested along with at least 35. On 10th of March, Malak was subjected to a forced anal examination at a government hospital where she was subjected to other forms of sexual assault by medical staff, according to her lawyer. These acts constitute a form of torture and other ill treatment which violate the UN Convention Against Torture, the CAT, the International Covenant on Civil Political Rights, ICCPR, and the African Convention on Human and People's Rights. Egypt is party to all 3 treaties. Amnesty International is deeply concerned that Malak's continued detention in an all-male facility renders her vulnerable to further sexual harassment, assault, and rape by detaining authorities and other inmates. I urge you to drop all the charges brought against Malak al-Kashef and to immediately and unconditionally release her, as she is a prisoner of conscience solely detained for peacefully exercising her rights of freedom of expression and freedom of assembly. Pending her release, I urge you to ensure that Malak is protected from torture and other forms of ill treatment, including sexual violence, and that her detention conditions are in line with international standards. I call on you to end medical examinations to determine whether a suspect has engaged in anal sex. As such, examinations constitute torture. Yours sincerely, and that is where you would sign. And I know that asking you to send a fax is an added level of inconvenience that will tempt a lot of people to just rely on others to do it. And I'm asking you to please do it yourself. To make things a little bit easier, I will also include a link down below to 7 online free fax services, and you can go through and see if there's a way you want to do that, or you can look for like a regional resource like a library that has faxing services as well. We are talking about the human rights that are being violated by a human for simply their identity right now. So please participate in not just part 1, but also part 2. Please help us get this information out and for us to directly approach the public prosecutor in trying to get Kashif's release. I'm going to skip all the promotional stuff we usually do at the end of the episode, but again, all those links are down below. That link to that PDF, to those free online fax services. Please help us make a difference. As always, I'm Jimmy Snow. Mr. Atheist was not my father.
Well, and also, we do have those links in the description.
That's good. That's good.
Yep. So everyone do that. Do that stuff. And do all the stuff.
Did we have the PDF as well? I'm trying to check, but
I sent Rhuagh both the links. So assuming that they copy and pasted it there, then it should be there.
All right, hang on. Let me just we have both the Amnesty International PDF letter and one of the free fax services already in the description. So everybody out there, please do that. Please help this woman.
Now, one question that I have based off of what I just saw is this primarily a religious conservatism against LGBTQ rights, or is this just simply a dictator not wanting to have any kind of dissident speech?
It's a mixture, Thomas.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot of both.
Yeah.
There's an extremely conservative religious culture in Egypt, and that just compounds with having a controlling leader who doesn't like criticism.
Yeah, that's very true. Especially because I believe the Muslim Brotherhood is still very prevalent in Egypt today, and a lot of other far-right Muslim organizations.
Yeah.
There's also the problem of the laws governing this particular case being too vague, basically. Which is why they can get away with all this crap in the first place.
Yep.
So it basically sounds like, don't go to Egypt, ever. Or at least not until this is fixed. And
Yeah, that's going to be a while.
I mean, I would love to visit the pyramids and other archaeological sites, but under these circumstances, that seems like a long shot.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's relatively easy to visit Egypt. It's also fucking cheap, but that's besides the point.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not something that at this point I would be comfortable doing.
Yeah.
I would definitely warn people about that particular situation.
So, yeah, that's a horrific situation, and everyone do what you can.
Yeah.
Please, let's join forces. Let's make sure that this does not go under the radar, and that it gets the attention that it deserves, and that it's addressed. Because, well, as Mr. Atheist pointed out, Egypt is known to change their behavior depending on whether or not there is international attention on a subject. That is something that has happened in the past. It's something that will probably keep on happening. So make sure they know that this has attention, that this has been noticed.
Unfortunately, this probably won't come from many political leaders, especially in America. I mean, especially with Donald Trump, because of his anti-LGBTQ rhetoric, as well as his rather cordial relationship with LCC. But so in terms of political leaders, I think that we should perhaps contact our elected representatives to tell them about this, so that more eyes can shine on this issue.
Yeah, I was also thinking of writing towards some of the people that are in my government here, and maybe even raise it with some of the European parliamentarians that I happen to know. So at least that it gets some attention from the European side of things.
Indeed.
But yes, exactly. Secto, I don't know how to pronounce that, sorry. But yes, Egypt does want to be accepted on the world stage, and they will most likely capitulate on this if we show them that this is not acceptable. Yeah.
Indeed.
All right, so I hope everybody here watching this, please share this video, share Mr. Atheist's video, send a fax, do anything you can maybe tweet to those Egyptian bastards if you want. Who knows? Maybe they'll pick up on that. We know Trump better is a Twitter fan, so maybe they are there too.
Does LCC have a Twitter? If so, we can just spam him.
I don't know if he has a Twitter. That would actually be interesting to find out.
I doubt so.
I also doubt so, but at the same time, who knows? I mean, it is a popular communication channel these days. So, all right, shall we move on to the next video?
Yeah, so now to move on to a lighter topic, we found some atheist videos that are rather lacking.
Surprising, I know.
Indeed. We're gonna start with one from Holy Koolaid, I think. Let's do that. This is gonna be fun.
Such a shiny intro.
It is. We still need an intro, by the way. We really do. So if
it needs to be shiny.
It does need to be shiny. If there's any artists here that in the chat that would like to do that, contact us.
Let's imagine for a moment that I'm interacting with a theist. Though lacking evidence for the purpose of thought experiment, I'll charitably grant her the...
Lacking evidence for the... we have plenty of evidence, it's just anecdotal. I mean,
or purely metaphysical evidence.
Yeah, so...
Just because something isn't physical, scientifically verifiable evidence doesn't mean that it's not a valid experience that should be taken into account.
Also, what the heck is he doing discussing this at dinner table? If I go to eat dinner, I'm not there to discuss the gods. I'm to freak you.
You're roboting terribly, Calon.
I said it. Hello?
Hi.
All right. It's also, if I'm going to dinner, why would I want to discuss like the gods like that? Why would I want to have one of those conversations?
I mean, it can be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like with the graphic here, just it's like it comes across kind of rude.
Also, I find it interesting that the theist in this case is an elderly woman. I have no idea why he put that as such.
Also, the elephant up there reminds me of Ganesh.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
I mean, what does he have against Hinduism? Does he just like Indian food or something? But
it's not just the elephant, by the way. If you look to the left at the next picture, that also has certain Hindu characteristics, I think.
Yeah.
And is the painting also on the left? Is that supposed to be of the Virgin Mary? Because it kind of looks like.
No, I don't. I think that's just like an Indian, because I feel like there's also the elephant on the other side.
Yeah.
And so it's just,
the restaurant itself has a certain feel to it.
Okay. Yeah.
I love how while we're talking about this video and critiquing it, we're completely tearing down the entire background at the same time.
Yeah.
Are you guys familiar with Richard Spencer, by the way?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Yes.
He is a bit of.
Someone get me a milkshake.
Yes, very much so.
Is that person a Nazi?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. In that case, yes. Then apparently, Holy Koolaid thinks that after 1945, all the Nazis were dead. But
wait. Is the,
all right, let's not. Guys,
how is that? I'm just wondering. Is that a reference to another video by Holy Koolaid?
No, it's somebody in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's
I'm not watching the chat right now.
All right. But did he already start with? Because I missed the part where he actually talked for some reason. Did you already mention the part where he conflates theism with monotheism?
Not yet. That's coming up.
I mean, I
Okay.
assume that's going to happen because that's what atheists tend to do.
Yes, it's rather common.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very stereotypical. All right.
Existence of a god. To make matters more fun, I'll take it one step further, and though demonstrably false, I'll assume all the legends of the Judeo-Christian god to be true. Now,
Okay,
so yes, it is demonstrably false because we're theists and we don't hold the Judeo-Christian myths.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a common thing where they assume theist means Christian, or in some cases, theist means Islamic.
Yeah, I mean, also, it really, for him, like, to bring up Christians and Abrahamic faiths, it makes no sense with the background that he has, because I just look at that background and think Ganesh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, I mean...
I know a bit of the backstory that he released on YouTube, and basically he got away from a very bad Christian denomination, which is quite
yeah, and that's bad in itself, but don't put that on us.
Yeah, but you see that
I'm not sure. I'm not sure he's specifically. Well, I'd like to just give him the benefit of the doubt because, especially after watching Ocean's latest video on latent Christianity, atheists do tend to, at least some atheists tend to behave in a very Christian way simply because that was how they were brought up, and they're just bringing that sort of baggage along with them.
Yeah, well, in this case with this guy, I'm not willing to extend charity that much.
Yeah, everything that I've seen from him has said completely otherwise, and that he's vehemently against any type of religion or theism.
Okay, I'm not too familiar with this particular content creator.
He is relatively big, and that in itself, in my eyes, should be enough to warrant actual open-mindedness when making these videos.
Anyhow, let's continue.
Yeah.
I just have one blaring question. Why are people made of meat? Why did God make us edible?
That makes absolutely no sense, like, in terms of a question. Why did the gods make people edible? I mean, they just did. That's like asking someone, hey, why did you crochet this out of yarn? Well, would you rather me crochet it out of nylon? I mean, okay.
Wait, you can do that?
Yeah, I mean, you can crochet anything so long as it's a
so long as it's a flexible material.
Yeah, a fibrous material.
You can crochet anything. You can crochet a rope.
I'm not exactly familiar with it, so.
But yeah, so
is Holy Koolaid trying to ask why humans were made out of meat because the so-called the Christian God could have made us out of something better or stronger? Is that his argument?
He's going to be touching on that in just a minute.
I can already see this.
Yeah.
I can already see this.
And I like what was pointed out in the chat. Anything can be edible. True enough.
I mean, there are people that have literally eaten a plane.
Yeah. Also, we're probably not going to take on cannibalism right now.
Damn it! I'll have a whole bunch of things to say if we ever cover cannibalism.
All right, yeah, that's very much duly noted.
So stay tuned for that. Well, it's probably going to be in a different stream, but we'll cover that someday.
And very much demonetized, probably.
Yeah.
If we're given dominion over the world and we're supposed to fill the earth and subdue it, then...
So, I don't know for the others, but my religion is world affirming. There's no idea of dominion over the world within my religion. Yeah. You are part of nature within my religion.
Yeah.
Your soul is made out of pretty much this, because I'm an animist myself, the soul is part of pretty much everything, and everything has an immaterial part called roughly a soul. So that whole argument goes right out the window.
I don't know too much about my specific philosophy, but like I definitely don't think that we're above nature in any way.
Yeah, me neither. Though this is that is, of course, in reference to the Judeo-Christian mythology, which does state that humans are set apart from the rest of them. In that sense,
and they mentioned that only a few verses after God told Adam to go fuck all the animals and try to figure out which one would be a suitable partner.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. Not going there.
Why are we walking meat sacks? Most of us are jerky bites, but even Hafthor Bjornsson is just a family-sized meal to a hungry lion pride.
I'm pretty sure that Viking could kill that lion. I'm just saying, that lion looks way too cute.
The lion does look...
Oh, and it's Bjornsson. Like, son of Bjorn. That's not actually his name. That's not a last name. That's just simply his patronymic. Just saying.
From what I remember, it works slightly different where they're from, but yeah.
But yeah, just pointing that out there.
They're constantly being eaten by bacteria, parasites like mosquitoes, and for much of our history, wild animals. If God exists,
I love
he is
how they're talking about
greatest...
being eaten by parasites and mosquitoes while having dinner.
Yeah, that's that must raise your appetite quite a bit.
Rhuagh, can you go back a couple seconds, because I would like to hear the actual argument, if he actually has one.
We're constantly being eaten by bacteria, parasites like mosquitoes, and for much of our history, wild animals. If God exists, he is clearly the greatest troll alive. Tells.
Why? I'm confused about how that follows, because I mean, we are made of what we are made of. I know that sounds sort of tautological, but it just, this honestly seems like a very...
It seems rushed. It's
yeah.
I agree. It doesn't exactly follow from what he said.
Nor does it really follow from from a Christian standpoint, because humans are also fallen.
Yeah.
It does touch upon that, actually, in just a few seconds.
I mean, what else could we be made of? I mean, I guess we could
actually.
What does he actually say that?
Yeah.
Actually, oh, okay. I mean, I guess we could. I guess we could have been made out of chitin or some sort of exoskeleton, but if we were, then I'd say that Holy Koolaid would make the same argument. Oh, why are we? Isn't it stupid that we're made out of an exoskeleton or something like that?
And even if we were made out of metal, he would probably say, isn't it kind of stupid that we can melt in only 2,000 degree heat?
Yeah.
Basically just moving the goalpost.
And that we rust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's well, he does touch upon it, and funny enough, exactly the metal thing. So let's watch.
Man to rule over the animal kingdom and makes him out of animal food. This would be the equivalent of telling a sentient gummy bear to watch a daycare. Trace
What?
I don't know how that actually follows. Is he trying to say that because we're made out of edible things, things could eat us?
That's basically his argument. What he's trying to say is because we, in the Judeo-Christian, good grief, sorry. Within the Bible, it basically says that we should have dominion over the animal kingdom, right?
Okay.
So in that sense, it doesn't make sense that we could be eaten by said animals, because that means that those animals are a threat to us. And that's where his analogy with daycare comes in, because an edible gummy bear having dominion over children that like to eat gummy bears.
Yeah, except give that gummy bear an AK-47 and
an actual soul to achieve some sort of sentience or something like that.
Well, not just that, but give the gummy bear an AK-47, a flamethrower, put the kids in cages, and then you have a plausible analogy.
I guess that's an analogy for school, but we're not going to get into that right now.
Well, no, I think it's more a reference to Trump.
Oh.
Children in cages and all that.
Okay.
The genealogies of the Bible back to Adam, and if he's passing DNA to his offspring, it can only be assumed that he was made of meat too. But why? Did God anticipate Adam's fall and create him meaty from the get-go?
So there he touches upon what you said earlier.
But again, why wouldn't he? Because I think isn't it in the Bible that all the animals are peaceful anyway?
Yeah.
So that makes no sense.
But it also makes no sense because if God knows if the Judeo-Christian God knows everything, then he should have known that man was going to fall anyway.
Yeah, that's more Christian. That's more a Christian critique. Thankfully, we're not Christians, so we don't.
I know that, but because he's arguing from a specifically Christian perspective, then I think
that's the issue, though.
Yeah, I mean that is an issue, but I think that we should try and keep that in mind.
The thing is, I wouldn't have a problem with it if he didn't start by conflating theism with monotheism. The moment you do that, especially, I mean, I can understand in a Twitter thread because theist is a lot shorter than monotheist or Christian. But in something like a video like this, you don't need to worry about character limits. So just spell out what you're actually arguing against. Because you're not arguing against theism, you're arguing against Christianity.
Yeah.
And that's literally everything you can be arguing with all of these arguments.
And that's also why I'm taking them as not being that's why I'm not being charitable to him by granting him that he's even talking about Christians, because the whole premise isn't about Christians, it's about theists.
I see.
I mean, the video is called "What Religious People Don't Understand About Me."
Okay. Yeah, I could. Yeah, okay.
So he's trying to address all of religion by focusing on Christianity, and that's something you see very often. And
I would say that is very prevalent in atheist circles, just lumping every single religion in with Christianity or Islam, which is just
and he looks
definitely
like an idiot.
Not true. Sorry, what, Calon?
I said, and he looks like an idiot because literally, like, no other religion holds these tenets. Like, none. Anyhow, let's continue.
Mistress Angelica asks, wouldn't it be more accurate to call Christians Abrahamics since they follow the Abrahamic religions?
The problem with calling them Abrahamics is that there are other Abrahamic faiths that make it that are also minority religions, like the Baha'i and the Yazidi,
and also Judaism, which is rather different from Christianity or Islam. So. And also one could consider religions like Manichaeism as Abrahamic, but not. But yeah, I agree with Calon that that is very.
Yeah, there are minority religions which are Abrahamic. That's why I generally will say like Judaism and Christianity are the ones that I have like the most problem with. The others, so long as they don't force it on us, I don't particularly care.
Well, then there's still Islam.
Yeah.
Yeah, Islam falls into the forces stuff on us category.
Yeah, I don't really have that problem with Judaism because, as far as I'm aware, they don't go around on missionary efforts. But Christianity and Islam are the big problems, are the big problem religions because of that they try to convert other people by whatever means necessary.
Yeah.
And generally, Judaism is a lot less contradictory because I know that a lot of Jewish people don't take the Bible or the Torah as literal events and see it more as we see it and see it as
metaphorical.
Metaphorical, a way to understand the God's nature.
Yeah.
Basic theology stuff that holy Koolaid here, who apparently drunk his own Koolaid, misses completely because he doesn't go and actually think about what he's saying.
Yep. All right, let's
Ending his lineage to brutal ending after brutal ending as tasty snacks? And if Adam was made in the image of God, is God made of meat? If so, maybe he could lend us a little toe.
That's so
stupid,
short-sighted. Yeah, that's so stupid and so short-sighted of an argument right there. Because he's assuming that made in the image is a literal account.
Yeah, and I mean, most Christians actually even have a defense against that, though it's not the best, but it kind of works, I suppose, with their whole it's in spiritual sense.
It's not that we're literally exactly the same as he is. It's that we have some similar characteristics.
Like a soul.
Yeah. And most Christians hold that the concept of morality is one of the things that comes from God's image.
Yeah, so
would have problem with that, but that's not the point right now. But
yeah, I'm not saying it's like good defenses, but they're defenses that come up very commonly that he just doesn't address at all.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's.
Or something in end world hunger. Yeah. You'd think having existed forever, he would have digitized himself after a while. If he was remotely loving,
he would have digitized himself? Really? All powerful, all knowing being would digitize themselves.
Yeah, that no. I mean, just no. I mean, the thing he's forgetting here is that would be the best we can do right now.
Potentially.
Cyborg zombie Jesus.
But I mean, why would he digitize himself if he has literally every capability in the world?
Yeah, why would he need to improve his set of abilities if he literally has an infinite set of abilities already?
It literally makes no sense.
Why couldn't he have done the same for us, instead of making us delicious to parasites? The fact that we're made of meat makes perfect sense from an evolutionary standpoint. We're made of the most common elements in the universe.
Evolution doesn't refute theism, though.
Yeah.
You can have theistic evolution, which is one of the things I do believe in. I believe in a more guided, in a somewhat guided evolution.
Yeah.
But
I don't even believe in a guided evolution.
Me neither.
I just think that evolution is how that happens, I guess. Yeah.
But the thing here is that he's literally only addressing a direct creation deity. He's not addressing.
Well, he's also acting like this somehow refutes theism.
Which it doesn't.
It doesn't.
Because evolution does not talk about gods or divinities or deities at all. It just
talks about frequencies within alleles.
Yeah, it just talks about the progression that certain organisms take in response to certain factors within their environment.
Yeah.
That's literally it.
Mistress Angelica says evolution guided by a creator is highly debatable.
I agree, it is debatable. But the whole point is that it's still a debate.
Yeah.
It's not an idea that's been like full on refuted.
Yeah.
And even if you say that evolution in itself was completely natural, there was no supernatural involvement there, you still don't get to the point where it disproves theism. You can't. It only addresses the creation deity position. It doesn't address anything outside of that.
Yeah. It's like trying to use, I don't know, mechanical
psychology to disprove physics.
Yeah. It's like trying to use psychology to disprove physics, or trying to use mechanical engineering to disprove, I don't know, molecular biology or something like that.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Let's see. Tardan says, I am not enjoying this particular vid of his at all. Not at all. Me neither. So
we get to suffer together here.
Let's see. Xactu says, it's super important to make clear distinctions when we call out religion, and Holy Koolaid needs to learn that. Absolutely. I agree.
Yes, very much so.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
At least I have a turtle to comfort me right now. Otherwise, I'd be absolutely fuming.
We really need to start working on that live turtle feed, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, we do.
Turtellini.
I mean, we should definitely have that on the screen right now so that people watching this can be a little bit comforted by...
or something that would be cool would be if Cingeto would draw in Turtellini and put it on your avatar via.
Yeah, put Turtellini on my shoulder like Cingeto's snake.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, let's finish this.
Anyway,
Yeah, let's
which we can observe forming through nuclear fusion all around us in stars far and wide. We're made of the same organic molecules that we've observed self-forming without any assistance in a plethora of conditions under close observation in laboratories. Every living creature...
That's actually a kind of a little bit... We've seen substances combined and whatnot, but getting actual pictures of atoms and molecules, that's a bit more difficult. But I don't know if that's what he's saying here.
And also, I'd like to bring up that being made out of the same stuff as everything else is not actually mutually exclusive to a
it supports my position
to a creation deity, because Enki, the Sumerian, one of the Sumerian deities, he in the Atrahasis myth actually makes humanity out of clay, which is earth. So that doesn't actually make any. There is no contradiction there.
Not only that, but I kind of want, in a sort of evil way, kind of depending on how you define animism, this just provides support to animism, because we're all made out of, we all share the same substance together. And you call that inherently spiritual, and then you have animism.
Earth is made of these exact same ingredients. We've observed so many of the stages of abiogenesis and evolution, from simple chemical evolution to the formation of multicellular colonies to endosymbiosis to speciation and the development of new traits. Every living organism is coated with the same molecular building blocks, DNA, and every organism shares DNA in common. So it makes sense.
Pause it. Again, I would just like to reiterate, how does this at all disprove the idea of a deity?
It doesn't. He's
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, even if we accept abiogenesis, which is sort of where theistic evolution from the Christian perspective comes in, what they like to try to argue. But even if we prove abiogenesis, the idea that life came from non-life, that still doesn't refute the fact that there are gods, so to speak.
It doesn't. It literally, he's just making an argument for the strength of evolution here, which I would say is a good thing to do, but do that in a separate video, because
do it in one in which you actually specifically target Christians, not one where you just say, "Oh, hey, y'all theists, listen to this." Okay, we're listening. We're not very impressed here.
We're not impressed at all.
No, and this, even within Christianity, this would basically only address young Earth creationism. Because the moment you have any Christian that holds to evolution, your entire argument already falls apart.
Yeah,
literally everything. By the way.
Because I think a vast minority of Christians actually believe in the act of creation and not evolution, but a vast majority of Christians do believe in evolution. So I'm not entirely sure what his audience is supposed to be at this point.
The only group I can think of that he really addresses is young Earth creationists.
Yeah, and young Earth creationists have already been beaten down so much over these past years of atheists making videos.
Yeah. I mean,
apparently it still needs to be done because there are way too many of them out there, but...
That's true.
So aim it at them, not at us.
I even addressed young Earth creationism on my old channel a couple times, especially Kent Hovind.
Oh, Kent Hovind.
Which is just...
Is that the one that went to jail, or was that Ken Ham?
No, that was Kent Hovind. Ham is actually an Australian, which is really fun to annoy Australians with.
Oh, I have to remember that.
Kent Hovind also beat his kids, right?
Yes.
I'm not too familiar with that.
All right, let's finish this.
He's the one who said something about his kid being afraid at the dentist, and then saying that he beat his kid to make him more afraid of him than the dentist.
That's
Yikes.
child abuse.
Yeah. I just got nauseous, by the way. Thank you for that. Triatriel said to a response to Cingeto that I read earlier, that would require him to realize that religion takes different forms and that there's a scale of how much harm things do or don't cause. It's also him being holy Koolaid here. Yeah, it does seem to be that he's not just generalizing, but just pure not seeing any distinction whatsoever.
I'm going to respond to that response by saying that I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say that religion in and of itself is not harmful. It's only certain religions which would be harmful, and therefore that's a qualified statement. Which that would be talking about qualified religions rather than simply unqualified religion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. There are plenty of religions that don't have inherent harm to them. Though, to be honest, for some reason, those are not popular in general. The ones that do cause harm are generally more popular than the ones that don't. But
But those are only popular because of conquest and missionary efforts, which is inherently violence, I would say.
Yes. So let's get back to the video.
Well, I was still reading the comments here. Cingeto says, Holy Koolaid is being quite rude in my eyes. Painting everyone with one brush is not something I do. Exactly. And thank you. Let's see. No. Right, I'll see what other ones we have while we
edible.
play
Because food is just the proteins, carbs, and fats that we're all made of, which can be rearranged in our bodies to perform different essential functions. Plants and animals are made of the same stuff we are. That's why we eat them. And we're made of the same stuff that they are, which is why...
Pause it. I'm not made of chitin, are you, Rhuagh?
What's chitin?
It's the material that insects, exoskeletons, and like shells and stuff like that are made of.
Yeah.
I thought our nails were made of the same stuff. Or is that...
No, that's
keratin.
Ah, okay.
That's a different material.
Ah, okay. I thought
which
that
is also the same material as our hair and the horns of rhinoceroses and narwhals and pretty much anything else with horns.
So he screwed up the science.
Although not the antler, because they're completely different.
Although I think the point that he's trying to make is that we're all made out of the same molecules, but not the same.
Well, what he's trying to do is get a pseudo spirituality from atheism. That's what's amusing me the most.
I mean, isn't that what most New Agers try to do?
Yeah, pretty much. But that's what he's trying to do here. He's not advocating for a religion. He's not advocating for scientism. He's just sort of is.
But he is, because he's trying to say that he's trying to make the point that because we're made out of the same stuff, that somehow disproves the existence of a god, which that does not actually follow, like we've said.
And if anything, it would prove the existence, or it would not prove, but it would be evidence for the existence of a designer god, because it would be like something like a thumbprint, where like he uses the same design for like multiple things, which I definitely don't hold to personally, but I'm just saying that that's like kind of what he's willing to defend with these arguments.
Yeah, he does go that route. Again, really the only thing he addresses here is, again, the literal creation deity, that we were basically made out of mud. But he even then, it doesn't actually disprove the existence of even a creator deity.
Yeah.
I can see how he thinks it might be more, it makes it less logical to assume that's the case. But nothing here actually disproves the notion.
Yeah.
Of course, because you can't disprove it.
Yeah,
Why they eat us. But computers and robots don't need to eat food. They don't need to drink water or breathe. They can run on electricity. They can exist in...
You're talking about an omnipotent God. He can do better than a computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're thinking on low levels here.
I mean, the one thing he does seem to forget here is that in general, robots, for example, don't have self-repair mechanisms, which we do. And that already, that kind of becomes an important thing the moment you're working with things that get damaged every now and again.
It turns out Holy Koolaid is a transhumanist.
Oh,
he is?
No, I don't mean literally. I'm just saying that like he's making it sound like he is by talking about how God should just become a cyborg and digitize himself.
Cyborg Jesus.
Cyborg zombie Jesus.
Wait, how?
Can we get cyborg zombie Jesus and going in the chat, please?
We already, but you don't see it. He already exists. He's called Skynet
at this point.
What
was that, Fia?
So that's the third or fourth meme that this channel has started.
ZombieJesus.com. It's still free.
That's good.
All right. Hashtag cyborg zombie Jesus. Exactly.
Being cold and don't require sleep. We already know that they can massively outperform a human in almost every kind of calculation and continue to improve exponentially.
That is just simply not true because if you are because a robot that can, for instance, beat someone in chess, can that robot perform the same function as running a marathon? I mean, so many of these supposedly superhuman robots are fit for only one task. They're very specially designed. So
not only to mention that, but they don't play Go very well. Go is like is a game kind of like chess, but was developed in Japan, and it's like chess in terms of like popularity, but not like chess in terms of rules. It's actually rather fun.
Yeah, from what I remember, they are getting close to one though, but I'm not entirely sure on that one.
The combinatorics on that would be vicious.
Sorry?
Combinatorics, it's basically where you go in and you create various like sets of all the possible different combinations.
Yeah. Yeah,
I just tweeted out hashtag cyborg zombie Jesus. So let's all get this trending.
Well, make
Damn it, Via.
Via. Yeah, let me see if I have it here. No. Make sure to link it in the chat. All right. Let's.
Reason to believe that if given the right kind of sensors and structuring its digital mind correctly, that a robot wouldn't be able to have feelings and emotions too, and it wouldn't be food.
I actually have a bit of a problem there. First of all, you would never get to how emotions manifest themselves in us, and that's for a very simple reason. Our emotions are based on hormones as well as neural pathways, but the problem here is the chemical brain chemistry that's involved. The thing he said earlier with robots is that they don't need to take in material; they only work off of electricity. The problem there is that you don't have any raw materials to make hormones with. So can you actually create the same type of situation in a system that does not take in external material? I don't know if that's possible. You can simulate it, but I don't think it's possible to actually get a system like our own.
Well, not just that, but the whole idea of like experience itself, phenomenological experience in this case, which basically means what you actually feel, gets into the problem of qualia and whether you can ever actually like, it's basically what's referred to as the hard problem of consciousness, and it's a hard problem for a reason.
It's funny, I heard the term earlier today for the first time, but I didn't have the time to look it up. But
yeah, I'm not familiar with that. Could you briefly explain that?
The hard problem of consciousness is basically the question of how consciousness arises in human beings.
I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say it's when the soul gets imposed upon the material form of the person.
Okay.
My first guess would be an emergent property from the neural pathways in our brain, but that is pure speculation at this point.
Yeah, well, let's finish up this video.
Yes. All right.
Only reason to cover a robot in food Westworld style would be to make it more aesthetically pleasing to savages like us, to avoid the uncanny valley creep factor of people-ish robots. We're insecure, as we should be, because we're edible, and we're vulnerable. And if there was a god made of food, I would completely...
We're
This
edible,
is
therefore we should
actually
feel
just a video defending transhumanism.
Sorry?
This legitimately seems like he's been making this whole video just to defend transhumanism.
Yeah, could be.
Also, I would just like to point out that this is kind of at least this still seems very cultural appropriation, because it seems like they're trying to this clearly seems like some sort of Aztec or Mayan pyramid, and by making that connection, he's trying to associate Christianity with Mayan religion, which is just simply not the case.
I can see what you mean there, actually, now that you mention it. It's I'm having more of a problem with this now that the further this video is coming along. He really does seem to have a problem with associating every religion with a sort of a bow before me kind of attitude, and not looking into any sort of actual nuance that each religion has. And
I mean, just look at his Twitter.
I'm not familiar with his Twitter. What does he tweet?
I'm sure that if you just scroll back on Calon's feed, like with every other problematic person on Twitter, you would very easily find some issues with him.
Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
completely
Sorry.
I was just going to say, yeah, there's just no nuance here at all.
No. It's basically throwing everything in one big pot and stirring it until it's just a brown.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right.
understand
Let's
its
continue.
extreme insecure necessity for dominance and worship.
Silent breed is
Hang on.
You remember when that was you, Thomas, and they were doing this to force you to worship gods?
Yeah. That's what the gods definitely say. That's what their gods definitely prescribe.
What? Sorry.
Dominance and submission and worship.
Ah. Well, I mean, I agree in terms of the Yahweh deity. He is pure. He has an inferiority complex. He is a genocidal moral maniac. But in terms of taking it broader,
I mean, I'm pretty sure at least some of the gods have to be into domination.
Well, Inanna. I mean, that's the prime example there. All right.
If you enjoy my videos and appreciate what I do promoting science and critical thinking, please consider supporting.
Critical thinking? Did he really say that?
And then he'll tell us to not drink the Koolaid.
He shot himself in the foot, like, with a fucking bazooka.
Yeah. Also,
critical thinking.
Also, the thing above that science is greater than dogma, implying that every religion has a dogma that is ruthlessly defended against any kind of dissent is seriously misguided.
Yeah.
And implying that scientism doesn't have dogma within itself.
Yeah, I mean this in itself is a dogma, I'd say, because look at how so often atheists go to defend each other for stupid or misguided points that they make.
Yeah, it happens more often than you might imagine. Especially when you're on the other side of the fence.
Yeah.
You are an atheist. You don't always see it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Also, of course, this guy is a brony. I'm just gonna say that. Of course, he is.
He does have big brony energy.
All right, so the next video that I also sent you was also by him, where it was why atheists should mock theists.
Wait,
What? Yeah, you're breaking up.
Calon, you're breaking up. Yeah.
I said the other video I sent was one where he says why atheists should mock theists.
Yeah, it's why scientists laugh at creationists, why atheists should mock religion. So again, being very broad there.
So let's play that one next. Oh, and by the way, scientists don't usually mock or laugh at creationism. They cry at it.
Yeah.
That's fair enough.
In Texas. He's a doctor in the Dallas area, and his wife was a PhD student at the time. We had a delightful conversation sharing our mutual frustrations about anti-vaxxers, homeopathy, young earth creationists, and alternative medicine. The one area where we differed on was the value of religion. They saw beauty in religion and found peace in it, but they didn't take every aspect of the Quran literally. I showcased this conversation simply to illustrate my recognition that in spite of the Bible Belt's affinity to radical literalism, and in spite of the plethora of Islamic locales where the multitudes froth at the mouth in salivatory anticipation of Sharia's implementation and enforcement, most of the 4 billion Christians and Muslims...
Okay, so that's kind of Islamophobic right there.
Yeah. Yeah,
I missed that. I was
subtle. You can rewind it and just listen to how he characterizes Muslims.
All right, just let's.
In it, but they didn't take every
it's
aspect
quite
of
dehumanizing.
Now I didn't hear it.
Literally. I showcased this conversation simply to illustrate my recognition that in spite of the Bible Belt's affinity to radical literalism, and in spite of the plethora of Islamic locales where the multitudes froth at the mouth in salivatory anticipation of Sharia's implementation.
Yeah, there. Yeah, he assumes that most people in Muslim majority countries are in support of Sharia law, which I seriously doubt.
Of a strict interpretation of Sharia. There are technically 5 Islamic schools of Sharia. There's Hanbali, Shalafi, and 3 others, which I can't remember at the moment. But basically, in their radical forms, nobody wants them really to be fully implemented. Like, this is the whole thing that this is why ISIS lost so badly.
It's because they don't they're a very loud and very violent minority.
Right.
Chris says people like Holy Koolaid makes me mad that I have to defend Islam because I don't like Islam.
Yeah.
I can definitely understand that one. Triaccio, as terrible as some aspects of Islam are, not as many Muslims want to coerce people into Sharia as people want to make it out. No, and that's kind of exactly the point here, because he does try to make it sound like 90%.
Yeah, he's also betraying them as savages.
Yeah, and big time too. Like the way he described it made me literally like think of caveman, literally. And
The image.
I was
of,
thinking more like fucking hyenas.
Yeah, the image of frothing at the mouth that assumes that assumes that they are entirely a crazed and savage people, which
Like the rabid dogs, I think.
Yeah.
all right, let's continue with this nightmare.
And enforcement, most of the 4 billion Christians and Muslims are moderates. The vast majority of them don't take their holy books literally, even if they claim.
Literally a couple seconds ago, you tried to make it sound like, yes, the majority does.
Does he know what the word plethora means?
I don't think so.
Because he just contradicted himself. He's like, well, what do you think a plethora is?
You're breaking up badly, Calon.
I said, what do you think a
Fix
plethora
that.
is? You hear me?
Yeah, now we can. Sorry.
It's like, what do you think a plethora is?
Well, it translates to Dutch as overvloed, which means abundance.
Yeah, an abundance of plethora, a lot.
Yeah. So at one point he says that basically the majority are X, and now he says the majority are not X. So he just shot himself in the foot.
Yeah, that's quite an apophatic statement right there.
If every one of them viewed their holy book the way that most view Greek mythology or Aesop's fables, as allegorical moral lessons couched in an absurd but memorable story format, then I probably wouldn't have too big of a problem with it. But the instant an otherwise mentally stable adult...
You can tell he's never met a Hellenic a Hellenismus.
Yeah. Because it's not, because just calling them allegories of ridiculous stories that really does not do them any justice.
Yeah, and also insults the literature as well.
Yeah, because you can go, Calon.
Because even literature that is not meant to be taken in a religious context can be extremely deep and play out multiple different conflicts and various things of that nature. So yeah, and also with the scene that he has here, the way he's sort of also implying it as just nothing else but Halloween monsters. That's just stupid.
Yeah.
Xactus, I still don't know how to pronounce that. Sorry, maybe you can tell us in chat how to pronounce it. But
it's Exacto.
Exacto?
Like an Exacto knife?
That doesn't ring a bell, but sorry, I'm not native English, so but Exacto. Okay. Yeah, he's clearly done very little research on Islam. Like, what the fuck? You can't have your cake and eat it too. And then, so he's back to saying that all Muslims follow the Quran literally. What the fuck? Yes, he is all over the place here.
Yep. So continue.
Let's see where he's taking this monster truck of thoughts.
Lecturing about a talking donkey, a bear summoning bald wizard, a planet saving wooden boat, or a water walking wine transformer, and actually believes this nonsense, I'm not going to just nod my head and act like everything that they're saying is normal, or that their insane babblings deserve respect. This
hang on.
Insane? Really?
Yeah. This is seriously ableist because he's saying that. At least it seems like it is.
No, it is
wrong about that.
It definitely is.
That
considering
that
how
religious experiences
demonstrably not insane at all, and religious experiences are specifically mentioned in the DSM-5 as not being factors in insanity or delusion.
Yeah.
I've actually had a couple times on Twitter that I had to defend myself from the very same religion is delusional claim. The funny thing is, at least in terms of polytheism, the moment you actually discuss that with atheists, most of them will actually admit that, all right, no, it's actually not as insane as I thought. And I mean, here to take an example, the water to wine transformer. I mean, grapes are practically all water. And theoretically, you could call every winery out there, every vineyard, every just a water to wine transformer.
A water distillery.
A water distillery. That's funny.
Anyway, let's see where this.
Not normal. We can and should respect the individual without having to lend credence to folly. Literal interpretations of pseudoscientific texts are not without harm, especially when they ripen into the basis for rotten policy. And turning a blind...
That I do agree with.
I agree with that. I think that pseudoscience should be debunked and degraded, but I think that he's making an association between pseudoscience and valid religious expressions, and I guess that further goes into his point of religious expression being or religious experiences being being delusional, which is just not true.
Thank you, Chris, for that. Now, if it was water to avocado oil, I would be impressed.
I would be impressed if it were like water to lava.
Oh, that would have been. But at the
You'd
same
just
time,
get obsidian.
Yeah?
That's a Minecraft joke.
I know. Well, anyhow, yeah.
Let's
continue.
Festering infection only perpetuates the problem. We're told to respect people's beliefs, and that's the start of the problem, because truth still matters. Religious misinformation should be treated with the same level of...
Look at that cute little pre-sup. Isn't it like so cute?
What?
The little pre-sup he's making.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's like he thinks he's actually making a point by assuming that all religion is false.
Yeah.
First, indeed, that he does make that assumption. Also, the problem with his approach that he's pointing at, trying to defend here, with just mocking ideas that are religious and false in nature, is that the moment you start mocking it, those people that do adhere to that particular belief will just write you off as a hopeless case that doesn't know what he's talking about.
Oh, I've told numerous atheists to fuck off because of the way they've treated me and mocking my beliefs.
Yeah, mocking just instantly turns off any respect that was originally held between two people.
Yeah,
and
it's a violation of faith.
That isn't very helpful if you're trying to convert the whole world to atheo-fundamentalism.
Yeah, it just automatically removes any consideration from the things that he says from the person holding the beliefs that he's trying to correct, or whatever you want to, or at least influence. So the moment that approach just leads to absolutely fuck all. I mean, people will just put their heels in the sand, as we say in Dutch, and just not fucking give anything at that point. Anyway, let's...
Palmery we reserve for conspiracy theories and other whack job delusions.
But this to me is the
true delusions, really?
He literally just said that.
Yeah.
Delusions.
Also,
guys never opened DSM.
Also, Sam Harris is here, everyone's favorite atheist defending the Iraq War.
So let's for just a moment take a look at what the actual definition for delusion is. An idiosyncratic belief or impression maintained despite being contradicted by reality or rational argument. Now, there is a problem there. Most religious beliefs, while not having objective evidence backing it, also don't have objective evidence contradicting it.
Yeah.
And for something to be a delusion, it needs to be contradicted by reality or rational argument. So at the point that you don't have anything that contradicts your beliefs, that belief by definition cannot be delusional. So that was just
yeah. Well, according to this guy who drank his own holy Koolaid.
You're breaking up badly again, Calon.
So not according to this guy who is drinking his own holy Koolaid.
Yeah. All right.
Horror of religion. Okay, it allows perfectly decent and sane people to believe by the billions what only lunatics could believe on their own. Okay, if you wake up tomorrow...
This guy's a philosopher?
This is not philosophy.
This guy's a philosopher? Really?
Well,
I'm just going to say this is not philosophy.
This is just closed-minded bigotry.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just take the definition, just for fun, for lunatic. A person who is mentally ill. So any mental illness in theory.
So any religious person, they are automatically mentally ill.
That's basically what he's saying.
According to Holy Koolaid and Sam Harris, by proxy.
Yes.
Which means most of the planet is.
Okay, so if mental illness is supposed to be defined as something that is acting outside the norm, but religious expressions are the norm, so...
Well, I don't agree with mental illness being anything that is out of the norm, because that would...
Yeah,
That just...
What happens is that he makes the term mental illness a pointless term because everyone's already mentally ill. You can't really make a meaningful distinction. And that's also why it's eliminated from the DSM. That's why the DSM makes an exception.
While I personally disagree with there being a exception specifically for religion, because I do think that you could have a delusional idea in regards to religion. I think that's a perfectly valid idea that it's possible. The moment you believe that last night God came into your house and kicked you in the nuts,
well, yeah, the definition in the DSM-5 does specifically say that a delusion can be religious in nature, but religion in and of itself and spiritual experience aren't delusions unless they're completely unverifiable. Well, not unverifiable, but
unfalsifiable.
They're contradicted by reality.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, in that case, I don't have that much of a problem with it. I would say, in that case, that it becomes pointless to specify religion as an exemption because it's already the definition of delusional that it has to be contradicted by reality.
Yeah. Well, this is also the manual that's used by like insurance companies and legal and various others, so it makes sense.
In that sense, it does make sense, but I mean, from a professional standpoint, at that point, it just doesn't make sense anymore. I think, but anyway, let's see what else.
Tomorrow morning, thinking that saying a few Latin words over your pancakes is going to turn them into the body of Elvis Presley, okay, you have lost your mind.
No, I'm sorry. As far as I'm aware, no actual Catholic actually would believe that.
That's a tricky subject.
Yeah, let's not
There
go.
are a few who do believe that that the substance literally changes, but from the majority that I've talked to, it's seen as a spiritual transformation
Yeah.
of the bread and wine to the cleansing power of the body and blood.
Yeah. But in that sense, it's working on the spiritual level, not the material level.
Yeah, there are a few that do hold that it literally becomes the body and blood of Jesus Christ, transubstantiation. But I think it's a minority, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But I mean, in that sense, I can see why that particular branch of Catholicism might be considered delusional. I mean, you theoretically you should be able to just say the Latin words over that cracker and then shove it off to a lab for testing. That would like literally make everybody a Catholic if it's true at that point.
Yeah, which
it would also be verifiably false, which would qualify it as a delusion.
Exactly. That's kind of my point. Either you're proving that Catholic that is actually what's happened, and at that point everybody in the world would become Christian, or you prove it delusional, and then everybody that holds to that idea either becomes delusional or has to change their belief systems to match. But so in that sense, I can see that particular idea might be considered delusional, but in that case, you do kind of have to make sure that it's tested at least once. Anyway.
But if you think more or less the same thing about a cracker and the body of Jesus, you're just a Catholic.
But is religion really as crazy as conspiracy theories? Oh no, it is far worse. Grab your tinfoil and let's explore the absurdity together. The Loch Ness Monster is
tinfoil, really?
He does.
Now that's just a degree. Now that's just a plain mock. No, that's just plain mockery. So
yeah.
Not that he has a problem with that.
Yeah.
Indeed, but I kind of have to wonder though, is it as crazy as conspiracy theories? I mean, I don't see how it is. But
no, I wouldn't.
I don't think that is a fair assessment in any way, shape, or form.
Just a legend about a large underwater creature living in modern times. We have fossils of plesiosaurs. Sure, there's not sufficient evidence for a contemporary Nessie, but it's still within the realm of scientific plausibility. We wouldn't have to throw...
Actually, it's not. The scientists have gone out there, they've sampled the lake, and pretty much what the statistics show is that the population of fish within the nest would not be enough to support such a large animal as Nessie is purported to be.
Yeah.
Damn it, don't burst my bubble.
No, it's unfortunate, but that was also the conclusion, the articles that I read about it, because I used to be like obsessed with Nessie.
Yeah, I used to be really big into cryptozoology.
Yeah, so sorry any Nessie believers out there, but
the chance that happens is like the remotest of the remotest of the remotest.
No, there is no chance.
Unless Nessie is literally a time-traveling dinosaur, then it's very highly unlikely.
But plesiosaurs are not even dinosaurs to begin with.
Yeah, I know.
I just had to say that.
Sorry, go ahead, Thomas.
I just said I just had to say that because it so annoys me when people. Anyway, never mind. Not important.
I have heard theories that there has to be like some kind of either direct connection to the ocean or some kind of portal that Nessie goes through to get to more fish.
I've heard that it's something to do with the quartz deposits in the lake or something.
I don't know too much about it,
but all right. Anyway, so sorry everybody for ruining your Nessie fascination.
About gene theory or the theory of evolution to make sense of it. Bigfoot is just a large, usually blurry, bipedal ape with slightly more hair than Sacha Baron Cohen. Nothing here violates the laws of chemistry, however bizarre. Alien.
I suppose. I never actually had much of an issue with Bigfoot as a possibility, though. I like, okay, maybe, who cares?
Well,
yeah.
But yeah, it's in the realm of theoretical possibility through the laws of physics that we know. And hang on, because we'll be coming back to that, I think.
We know there are other habitable planets with similar conditions to Earth. We know there are hundreds of billions of galaxies with an equally mind-numbing multitude of stars and planets. We know life is possible because we're alive, and we know that space travel is possible because we've traveled into space. And everything that we know about abiogenesis and the origin of life screams that we're not the only life in this universe. Watch my series on the story of life for a more in-depth reasoning on that. It's not physically impossible that Elvis could have faked his own death, and if he did, he'd be less than a century old right now. None of these conspiracy theories violate the natural order of things and are far more plausible than the miraculous claims of religion. The virgin birth is a baseless anti-scientific...
The claims of religion, virgin birth isn't part of my religion. Is it part of yours, Rhuagh?
No. No,
what about yours, Thomas?
It's not part of mine either.
Via?
No, not mine.
So what religion? So I'm confused.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose you could say that it's a religious claim, in that it's a claim that comes from a religion, but it's
not a claim that's shared by all religions.
No, and he tries to at least make the argument that every religion is delusional. That's what he's going for here. And to be fair, that would make him delusional. For the very simple reason that there are religions that do not make delusional claims, and as such are not delusional in themselves, and as such his claim that all religion is delusional is contradicted by reality, and as such he is delusional.
Yeah, there are religions that don't even believe in the gods.
Yeah, there are literally
materialist Buddhism.
Yeah. So it
actually atheofundamentalism is a religion.
All right, I'm gonna quickly go through the chat here a little bit. As a little while ago, some random geek said you might be surprised, but I wouldn't say they are mentally ill. Again, fuck Sam Harris.
Yeah, no, because those are socialized behaviors.
Yeah.
I'm glad we have a sociologist here.
I mean, I kind of, float around. I kind of went to school for like 4 years, learning all this stuff. Just saying.
Triachial said, I wasn't mentally ill. My emotions were manipulated to fit that what would get old men in business suits the most money.
Yep. That's Mormonism summed up right there.
Yeah, pretty much. Let's see.
What about Shinto Buddhism? Shinto Buddhism would be inherently, would my guess be inherently theistic because they believe in the kami. And while the kami aren't exactly gods, you do have god like kami, which meet the my definition for a god. So yes, that would be theistic.
Exacto said, Holy Koolaid is making me angry.
He makes a lot of people angry.
Yeah, you wouldn't be the only one.
Let's see. Some random geek said, like, Dino the Last Dinosaur, probably in relation to Nessie. Chris says Nessie is really within all of us. I like that idea. I like that idea. Well, if Nessie used to live in Loch Ness and then died and his body was like absorbed within the lake, then who knows? Maybe
No, not possible.
have a part of Nessie in them.
No, because there was never a population of enough fish for them to eat.
Well, but that's why he died.
No, he wouldn't be there.
Or perhaps plesiosaurs that lived hundreds of millions of years ago. We are made out of the same molecules that they are, because everything is recycled. And
there was actually, I actually read an article once about what the chances were that you drank water that was once dinosaur pee.
I mean, probably.
From what I remember, the chance wasn't actually that great, but I don't remember the exact probability there. Let's see. Triachiel, well, I guess I wouldn't make someone angry because holy shit, Holy Koolaid is fucked up. Mr. Angelica, I think he's being specific to the Virgin Mary, but I see your point. Yes, exactly. But the problem is that he's just taking that one concept of a very specific religion and applying that to religion in a very broad way. All right. Back up to date. Let's continue the video.
Assertion that spits in the face of biology and anatomy. A Jew who shrivels fig trees with incantations violates everything that we know about botany, and a divinely chosen horse-flying Arab tramples Newton's laws of motion and everything we know about gravity. These beliefs are far more ludicrous than the conspiracy theories that we treat with culture-wide disdain. Religion...
Again, there are varying levels of metaphor and allegory that each of these tales represent. Literalism is only one way of interpreting myth. It is not the only way.
So another problem you have here with he's trying to make here the case that it's delusional, right? That's his claim, that these ideas are delusional. The problem there is that it specifically talks about things that are supposed to be miracles. So something that has a supernatural component to it. So the fact that it violates some law of physics at that point becomes meaningless as a way of determining if it's delusional or not, because it's a supernatural event. So, I mean, if you believe that that would happen without supernatural intervention, then yes, that is delusional, because there is no way that that can happen. But we are
That's not still technically a delusion, though. So long as it's a culturally socialized belief, then even though it's wrong, it's still not a delusion.
Oh, wouldn't it at that point match the definition?
No, because it's socialized.
Okay. Why is that important?
For it to match the definition in the DSM-5, it has to It has to not be explained by cultural or societal beliefs.
Okay, that's actually interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, you again don't need an exception, by the way, for religion.
Yeah, well, there are certain anti-theists that are, going around and spreading pseudoscience.
Which this is, by the way.
Yeah, this is pseudoscience.
The thing that he claimed to hate.
Yeah.
Should tweet that out. Say, come watch us deal with Koolaid pseudoscience.
Someone should definitely do that.
Chris says 9/11 truther is a conspiracy, but it's more dangerous than religion.
I guess so, maybe. I don't really have a take on that.
And then Exacto says, oh fuck, and that 9/11 shit is easy to get sucked into.
It is, mainly because it hinges upon a misunderstanding of engineering. But once you actually get the engineering, it's laughable.
And then finally, but I'm not sure what you're exactly referring to here, Mr. Cingeto, but Mr. Cingeto says, so would it just be illogical? I'm not sure
you can
what...
have cultural beliefs that are illogical or not necessarily rational. Although within its own culture's logic, it could make sense. It just simply isn't something that was demonstrated.
True. All right.
Is conspiracy theory with a double dose of poppycock. And yet there's a double standard. We hold conspiracy theories with contempt because they represent belief without evidence, endowing their proponents with an unspoken badge of
Belief without evidence is almost always a dog whistle for verificationalism. The idea that only empirically testable propositions make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a dead epistemology from the 70s.
Well, sorry. What is
verificationalism?
Ah, yes. Sorry, I. All right.
But religion too.
Saying that I have a glass in front of me isn't scientifically verifiable because it isn't repeatable under the same circumstances, other than literally there just being a glass in front of me.
Yeah, because you would need separate. You need to, excuse me. You need to find another universe where that is a thing. I guess. Is that what you were trying to get at?
Yeah, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
We rely on a lot of personal experiences within our lives, and you can't verify everything. I mean, the moment you adhere to something like that, in theory, the moment somebody walks out of the house and I don't see them anymore, they don't exist anymore.
And court trials would go completely to hell because there would be no repeatable, falsifiable evidence to point toward any crime of any type.
And not only that, you can't even say that reality is real at that point.
Which, I mean, lots of people don't believe it is anyway.
True.
Belief without evidence under the revered moniker faith. Why does it get a pass? How come our collective disdain doesn't scale with the absurdity? Religion should carry double the cost in social capital and be accompanied with proportionally more mockery than...
So he's saying that religious people should all be mocked and derided and degraded with disdain. That's that's very tolerant of him.
Really wouldn't like him.
Sorry, what, Mia?
Twitter's new terms of service wouldn't really like him, though.
Yeah,
no, I guess not. But when you go by that position, literally everything goes out the window. You can't build on anything anymore. You would never be able to trust your own beliefs anymore. Because theoretically, right, I could read yesterday about some kind of experiment, and then today I would have to question, did I actually read that? Or was that all just in my mind?
It was all in your mind. Now,
sorry, go ahead.
I say, yeah, it was all in your mind, basically. Yeah, basically he's oversimplifying a bunch of different like philosophical concepts and saying, I'm right because I know I'm right. And it's like, I know reality exists because reality exists. Well, is it spiritual or is it physical?
Or both?
Yeah, so...
He's literally saying that without scientific evidence, you can't believe anything. That's what he's saying here.
And that's what we call scientism.
That doesn't exactly scale well to reality. It doesn't scale at all.
Scientism doesn't scale to reality.
All right,
let's continue.
All right.
The doses we reserve for conspiracy theorists. Most of the people touting these beliefs have had them hammered into them so many times from a young age by people they trust, and they've never been taught to think critically. They're otherwise intelligent, but have been repeatedly told that doubt is evil. Doubt is...
That's not the case in every religion.
I came to this religion through like doubt and questioning and logical thought.
Yeah.
I definitely didn't have this pushed on me.
I did, but
I just tweeted out, by the way, that we're dealing with Holy Koolaid pseudoscientific nonsense.
Did you at Holy Koolaid as well?
Yeah.
I don't think she can because he blocked her.
Oh, really? Holy Koolaid blocks Calon?
Yep.
Oh, dear.
Wait, when did that happen?
I have no idea.
Like yesterday or something? Yesterday was when I saw the tweet about it.
Yeah, I have no idea when it happened, actually.
Oh, boy. All right,
isn't evil. Doubt is essential to knowing truth and is quintessential in every other area of life. When we laugh at odd, irrational beliefs, we're not insulting the poor sheep who bought into them. We're merely humorously baffled by the absurdity of the proposition. But just as
hang on. That's a very passive-aggressive tone right there.
It's love the sinner. It's love the sinner, hate the sin.
Which is seriously.
Which is bigotry. It's basically saying I hate. It's basically saying I love you. I just hate everything you think.
I don't hate you. I just hate everything about you.
Yeah.
I just retweeted your message, by the way, with a call to Holy Koolaid to come join us.
Oh no.
I will if Twitter fucking works.
Ages with repetition, religion has lost its novelty and subsequently its humor. Religion is the normalization of insanity. Ingrained in...
No.
What?
Bullshit.
No. Yes, bullshit.
This is...
Okay. Religion can normalize certain ideas that might sound idiotic on the face of it. I have absolutely
But those are not delusions.
But now you're equating religion with idiotic beliefs, with idiotic ideas, and that just it's not inherent to. So that's not a claim you can make.
Not only is it not inherent, but it's idiotic because as societal beliefs, people have to operate within a societal framework. Just because it's not your societal framework doesn't necessarily mean they're idiotic or delusional.
No.
In a child before they've developed a sense of humor, and they'll never learn to laugh. but encounter any sufficiently divergent new religion for the first time as an adult, and you'll laugh your dumbfounded butt off. If you're religious
No,
and
you won't.
No, that's just simply not true for many, many people.
Okay, sorry, I missed what you actually said. So I'm gonna go back 10 seconds because I kind of want
and
to
they'll
know.
never learn to laugh, but encounter any sufficiently divergent new religion for the first time as an adult, and you'll laugh your dumbfounded butt off.
Okay, so I was an atheist for 31 years, from birth to the age of 31. And I didn't even know of polytheism before I came. I knew it was a thing in the past, but I did not know it was still a thing when I came on Twitter and stuff. And have I ever laughed at you guys?
No.
Not for that, at least.
Yeah.
So
for other things, but not in any sort of deriding or degrading way.
Yeah, I'm sure that when I've been laughed at, it's been deserved.
Probably the same for me, but I mean, that in itself already disproves his claim here.
Yeah, we are literally proof. We are literally four counterexamples against him.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. All right, so let's see. Triaccio said, also sometimes anecdotal evidence is all you have to go on. There are hundreds of stories of people from high-intensity religions share that you can scientifically prove, but should still be believed.
Wait, can you say that again? I didn't get that.
Yeah, I'm having a little bit of trouble myself with how to interpret that. Maybe Triaccio, you could say that again, because I'm not quite sure how to interpret what you said. Flat earthers are usually more in the spectrum of being science deniers or illiterate. That's not healthy skepticism or a philosophical position. That's fair enough. Mistress Angelico asks, sorry, I suddenly switched to Dutch. Don't ask me why. Why did he block you? By his own means, that means he's not as open-minded and critical as he says.
Very much so. Very much so.
Very much so. Okay, somebody wants to cosplay, apparently. Triaccio asks, I'm beginning to wonder how many of us are masochists in here. Quite a lot.
Lots of us.
Yeah.
I won't go into details, but
I think Thomas wants to go into details.
Evil laughter.
Yeah, no, we're not going into details. Stay on topic, guys.
Stay on topic. All right.
If you're religious and you feel personally offended, I want you to know that when I poke fun at your religion, I'm not mocking you. I'm simply surfacing the humor.
Yeah, you are.
All right.
Yeah. You're mocking our intelligence and mocking people who actually have mental disorders or other kind of mental issues, because you're equating someone's valid religious experiences with someone who is going through a very difficult time in their lives.
Yeah, and let's make something clear here. By mocking a belief, you automatically mock people that hold to that belief for holding that belief.
Yeah,
there is no way around that. The moment you mock the beliefs that somebody has, you are automatically doubting their intelligence, questioning their motives, questioning their critical thinking, etc. Those two are not separable. Now, I agree, there are certain beliefs that do not, by necessity, require respect. There are some very stupid beliefs out there, like flat Earth. But to say I am mocking your beliefs and not you as a person, that is a lie. Triachiel said, you can't prove all allegations of abuse in high-intensity religions like Mormonism or the Jehovah's Witnesses scientifically. Sometimes anecdotal evidence is all you have.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you can then ask, is anecdotal evidence enough to convict someone?
That goes into a whole discussion.
Well, no,
yeah,
a whole other discussion.
I can basically a brief summary of that is yes, you can. It's through a process called abduction. So, for example, if
a process called what? Sorry, I didn't catch you.
Abduction.
Abduction. Okay.
Yeah, basically that's where. So, like, let's say somebody is raped, right? Well, that's obviously not something you want to repeat. You're not going to have the police officer say, "Sir, can you go ahead and have non-consensual sex with this woman so that way we can arrest you?" No, that's not repeatable. But you can see through various psychological indicators, through various rape test kits and whatnot, you can conclude that the most likely thing that happened was the guy raped her. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
So yes, you can abduce various things. All right, let's continue.
Wait. There was one more thing. Exacto said we can call attention to a poor belief without mocking it. That is our job on YouTube as creators, calling this out. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because the moment you mock it is the moment you lose the people that you're trying to reach. It's that simple.
That I missed as a child, seeing the insanity for the first time. I'm mocking what you've been indoctrinated into believing so that you can see just how ridiculous it is and hope.
No.
Not every religious belief is indoctrination.
That, first of all, to equate the two is already being disingenuous. Two, you're not mocking it to show the people involved how ridiculous their belief is, because you will never actually achieve that.
Yeah, well, what he's doing here is he's messing up reductio ad absurdum with mocking. That's what he's equivocating here.
Yeah.
And it's really stupid. Like, reductio ad absurdum, basically, like, for example, the easiest one that I can think of is retributive justice, an eye for an eye. So a reductio ad absurdum is, well, if an eye is to be taken for every eye, if somebody accidentally shoots another person, how are you going to accidentally shoot that person?
Yeah.
That's a reductio ad absurdum that basically disproves that you can't take eye for an eye literally every time.
Yeah. Fair enough.
So, yeah, that's what he's messing up.
Yeah, he's yeah.
Fully reevaluate your position because you care about the pursuit of truth, so you can open your life up to the wonders of reality. When I was a freshman in college, I believed.
Instead of wonders of reality, just replace that with Lord, and you have his attitude. You can open up your heart to the wonders of the Lord.
Yes.
This is atheo fundamentalism right here.
Yep, very much so.
That the government was hiding aliens at Area 51, and my roommates thoroughly mocked me for it, showing me just how ridiculous the idea was. And in retrospect, I'm grateful that they did. In order to find truth, our beliefs should be constantly re-examined and held to scrutiny. And if any belief is held too sacred to scrutinize, that's exactly when it needs.
First of all, I agree here that every belief needs to be scrutinized. Absolutely. And there should be no belief above that, including religious ones. But
what about the idea that ideas should be scrutinized?
Should also be scrutinized. But the problem is he's already assuming that we don't.
Yeah. There's a lot of discussion and debates going on, even within our rather limited sphere in polytheism. not to mention debates and discussions that are had in other religions like Buddhism or Hinduism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
All beliefs should be looked at skeptically and criticized where they fall short. But that doesn't mean that they should be mocked and laughed at. They should be dealt with logically instead of automatically breaking any form of respect that your interlocutor had with you.
Yeah. We should do that to the best of our ability.
I mean, when I first started out, and even before that, I was talking a lot with Calon about polytheism, with the entire intention of trying to criticize the beliefs that basically both of us had about it, and try to see, okay, what is this entire thing? But instead, he's just jumping straight to mocking. And that's just stupid. So you're stupid.
To be satirized.
All right, let's continue. Let's finish
People
it.
deserve respect. Beliefs don't. So until you can demonstrably prove that a talking snake convinced a dirt man and a rib woman to eat a knowledge apple and that everything we know about physics, chemistry, and biology is wrong, I'm gonna give you the crazy look and poke fun at your beliefs till the cows come home. And if
But I don't believe those things.
Nobody here does.
No, exactly.
the rest of planet Earth grew up enough to understand the joke and start laughing in unison, maybe, just maybe, we could build a more rational world where the found.
What's his name? IP, I think it is.
Inspiring
Inspirational
philosophy.
philosophy. Yeah, he doesn't believe in a literal talking snake, and yet he's still a Christian. So your whole thing kind of falls apart there.
Yeah. Exacto said, this is the same as saying bullying is a good thing.
Actually, and particularly fat shaming. This is the same thing as saying, oh, we should shame fat people because then they'll want to get better and get skinny.
Yeah, or people that have sex
Religious
a lot,
shaming.
or I mean, it's even the same as with homosexuality, right? The entire idea of basically bullying, shaming them into becoming straight people, as they used to do.
Yeah, basically. So let's continue. Let's finish up with this bully.
Foundations of public
Starting to
policy
get really
aren't
boring.
baloney. What's up, skeptics? Thomas Westbrook here. Are you new to atheism? Making sense of the world after a recent worldview shift can be really hard, and there's a huge irrational stigma against atheists.
Bro, pause it. Are you new to polytheism? Is polytheism a world-shaking belief?
Yes, it is.
Yes, very much so.
Yes.
I mean, it shook the world insofar as it has been existent for thousands of years.
Anyhow, jokes aside, I mean, does this just sound like some street preacher? Are you new to Christianity?
Yeah.
Have you just
Sounds like an infomercial.
Yeah.
I'm not buying this atheism. You're here, damn salad.
No. I've seen two of your videos so far, and they are not convincing in the slightest.
No.
It can be difficult to navigate alone. So I've created a free guide just for you. It's a compilation of 13 things that I learned in my first year as an atheist.
I was about to say, okay, infomercial. Infomercial for
This is so preacher-like. Oh,
It's an infomercial. It's an infomercial for atheism.
Okay.
Hey, all you atheists
Let me
in
guess,
chat,
he's
we
a
got your
street
infomercial.
epistemologist too.
Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised at this point.
Atheist. You can download it absolutely free.
Hey, Tria, you go around selling these, don't you? Or handing these out, right? Like, yeah, you go out and you hand out these pamphlets to atheists, right? See, you're not all that different.
Chia, holy fucking hell. Exacto, no, if you're a new atheist, do not go there. And then Triet yelled, "No!"
Type your name in your email. 13 things I learned in my first year as an atheist.
Well, the problem is he didn't learn very well.
Apparently not.
Yeah.
All right, let's
Today at
continue with his infomercial.
holykoolaid.com/guide. I'll put a link below. Also, sorry it's taken me almost a month to get this video out. I've been working really hard on the Story of Life series, which is the most gigantic project that I've ever undertaken on Holy Kool-Aid, but that's scheduled to be out this Saturday, and it's actually up on patreon.com/holykoolaid. If you're a patron, you can get early access.
I think that's
I think I've had enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's turn our attention to the crowd. I think that's enough of these atheofundies for now.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna suggest we've been at it for nearly.
Yeah, we don't need to do the Rationality Rules video.
No.
Do that next time.
I've had enough of Rationality Rules within the last 5 months anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, and his back to Pfeifungsgesicht.
And as what?
Back to Pfeifungsgesicht. It's the word that means face that deserves a fist in it, that the Germans say. Not as in literally, by the way. Not advocating
Yeah, we don't need more hate comments talking about how we're advocating violence or anything like that.
We are definitely not advocating for violence.
No.
We shouldn't punch him in the face. It's just
punch
a face
people,
that
period.
looks like it should be punched.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do not punch people based on appearances or anything other than self-defense or the defense of other people.
Yeah.
Now, but so what did everyone think of that atheist infomercial? But
I fucking buy it.
It's just
I'm actually
stupid.
kind of interested in downloading it just to see.
Go ahead, download it. Let's see what it has.
All right. What was the address again? Let me just try. There. Hang on. Let's go and download this thing. Holy Kool-Aid.
Here we go. All of Rhuagh's 8 million different tabs that are open.
Yep.
Oh yes. Luckily they can't see that. I'm very glad about that because things on my screen that should not be public.
Yeah. He said that he's been working on this video for a while.
And brothers.
He says that he's been working on this video for a while. It seems like he devoted 95% of it on the actual video itself, on the animation, and only merely 5% on actually coming up with any sort of
content
argument. Yeah, any sort of content or substance.
So
it sounded ad-lib and very incoherent.
Yeah.
Like it didn't string together to form a coherent video.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which is basically what we're doing right now, but at least we have the being a live stream and not a produced video.
Okay.
Also, Rhuagh, thank you for showing us your email.
Oh, you guys already know that.
Please confirm your subscription to the Holy Kool-Aid newsletter.
Yeah, so that's
newsletter.
Yeah.
The Holy Kool-Aid newsletter. That.
Here's your infographic. Oh boy. Tentacle porn tab. No, I do not. Thankfully, I do not have a tentacle porn tab at this particular moment in time.
Would you ever?
That one right there.
Huh?
Leave that video. Come on.
I didn't say anything.
I'm just laughing at just the first page right now.
Yeah, I
doubt
need to
is greater than
that. Hang on.
Look, okay, I'm such a supporter of doubt that I doubt the real physical world. That's how much of a doubter I am.
If you want to go full skeptic, go full Peronian skepticism and just doubt literally everything.
The world looks different. I mean,
let me quickly find.
I feel nothing. I am nothing. I have no proof of myself, so therefore I do not exist. And my own perceived reality is a delusion, and I'm just a brain in a jar.
That about sums it up.
Well, at that point, aren't we just talking about solipsism?
I was
Yeah,
specific.
solipsism is true.
Well, I was specifically bringing up Peronian skepticism, which is basically asking why at every point in any kind of conversation. And
Yeah,
just,
remember those.
Why am I
kids?
hungry?
Why do I want food? Why do I need to eat? Why does my body want me to eat? Why?
Yeah.
Basically a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
Why do I lose consciousness every single night? Almost night. Some nights I miss it.
All right, so it's finally on the screen. So let's see what we have here. There's no circumstance outside religion in which taking something on faith is viewed positively. Isn't there? Like, for example, your faith in people?
No. We don't have faith. That's trust. Huge difference.
I did that.
I'm being sarcastic, of course.
Oh, sorry. I can't always tell with you. But yeah, we say it all the time, that you have faith in somebody's ability. You have faith in that everything is going to work out okay. So
basically, he said.
Sorry.
So basically, this is one of those feel-good book like kind of things, except for cynicism.
Yeah. Skepticism inoculates us against con men, called our leaders, dictators, blah. Well,
no, it doesn't. You know how many of the atheists who are so-called skeptics that support Donald Trump?
A lot.
Yeah. So.
So let's just scan through this. We shouldn't go through literally all of this, but let's just scan.
Yeah, this is just a laughable pamphlet.
Religious love from the tree of knowledge. That is Christianity specific.
Yeah. Meaning and purpose come from within. That seems very.
Wait, what?
Religious. Number four.
Oh.
That seems.
Religious love towards apostates can feel very superficial.
Assuming every religion has apostates.
Well, the atheists I sleep with don't think so. Just saying.
You sleep with atheists?
I have in the past. They're not as hung up as the Christians.
Not going to touch that. No, I don't see anything very funny in that. Well, looks different. Yeah, so.
Yeah, let's just quickly just run by each of these points in sort of a brief fashion.
Meaning and purpose come from within. I mean, I think
in many cases it is.
Yeah, but I don't think it's necessarily.
I learned what it feels like to be preached to. Well, yeah, for the past 2 hours.
Hello. Okay. Sorry, the thing is, for some reason it's jamming up on me. So sorry for the quick switch.
That's fine.
Learned what it feels like to be preached to.
I mean, I have been preached to for the past hour or two. About how
the wonders of atheism can really change your life in a very positive way.
Yes, but not belief in nothing will change your life in a very positive way.
That's still a belief.
Why atheists are so angry.
Oh boy, that's actually something that most atheists deny. So
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna flash this pamphlet at them.
Yeah, if you ever see that they do in fact deny it very often, that no, they're not angry and blah blah blah. But also, my perspective became so much larger. I mean
that also sounds very stereotypically Christian.
It kind of does. I mean, usually Christians say literally the same thing in reverse. So
this is funny.
Yeah, this is just. I seriously do very much after all this. I very much do agree with Edward Butler in saying that atheism and monotheism are just two sides of the same coin at this point.
This is why it's called atheofundamentalism, because it still carries over lots of aspects of fundamentalist Christianity.
Atheofundamentalism.
Number 11, atheists are the most hated / most understood minority in America. That is such a privileged position to say. I mean, ask any person of color or any
trans person here
or trans person. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that most atheists don't get beat up in the streets, at least in America.
Have to worry about getting killed or when they get naked, worry about getting killed. Yeah, that's a law.
Yep.
That needs to change. Yeah, so
wait. This one actually needs to get really through to some atheists. Your IQ doesn't shoot up the second you stop believing in gods less gods.
I mean, yeah.
That is one thing that you actually I've actually heard in the past, that yes, yeah. I'm an atheist, so I'm more intelligent.
And I think that Holy Koolaid himself is very much an example to that.
I don't know if he has claimed it in the past, but
I'm just trying to be funny here. What it feels like to be
dare to be curious. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. We're not drinking your Kool-Aid. Thank you.
This is wait. Hang on. Go below. Hang on. I made a Facebook group just for you, science-loving skeptics. That sounds so Christian, so much.
Who the hell makes Facebook groups still? I mean, other than my mom.
This is specifically to new atheists, right?
Yeah, this is very much a religious pamphlet. Just saying.
Yeah. And it looks like something that the Watchtower would make.
The Watchtower?
Yeah, the Watchtower.
Sorry, multiple people are talking at the same time.
It's the governing body for Jehovah's Witnesses.
Oh, I do not know that.
Yep, it's even on the pamphlets. They're all called Watchtower. At least here in the Netherlands. Oh wait, Swamp Germany.
Yeah. I was going to correct you, but yeah.
All right, so there goes.
So
it's clearly an idiotic stuff.
All right, so we're having an after party, by the way.
Yes, we'll be having an after party, but first let's go through the chat time, just for fun. Let's see. Fuck nihilism.
I love Exacto's comment. I wish my IQ went up just by being atheist.
Yes. Apparently, Triaccio thinks that they are waffle. Okay.
Well, I'm gonna need some proof of that, Triaccio, because everything is science. Everything now it has to be scientific. I need a peer-reviewed study showing that you're not a waffle.
Yeah, no, that they are waffle.
But no, they're not. That's the default position, clearly.
Ah.
Yeah.
Exacto asks, why do I lose consciousness and somehow not die every night?
Oh.
Good question.
Whatever it is, it's disappointing.
According to Triaccio, you blacked out so you wouldn't remember the scientific experiments the aliens did on you.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Yeah, or remembering if the black oil seeped into your nose. It's a reference from the X-Files.
I'm actually rewatching the X-Files.
The X-Files is such a good show.
It is
such a good show.
It comes off as if he's talking to children.
Yeah, very much so.
Which,
especially because of the very kid-y nature of the visuals. It seems very much children-centric.
Which is then begs the question: does he consider new atheists to be children?
I mean, most of them are, in terms of inability to actually make cogent arguments.
Maybe. Okay, that's I think everything. All right, so we'll be having an after party. It's going to be on our Discord. The link is in the chat in the description below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow us on Twitter. All the links to that is
all the stuff.
Oh, and be sure to share this with Holy Koolaid.
Yeah.
If anyone has some connections.
Yes.
Yeah.
But most importantly, to everybody, if you haven't seen it, go back to the start of this video and watch our segment on Egypt.
Yes.
Make sure to send that fax. Make sure to do the things that are discussed there, and we'll hopefully see you in the after party. With that, I wish you all good night, or good evening, or good morning, wherever everybody is.
Wherever in the world you are.
Exactly. Yep. And we will see you next time. Thank you for joining.
Bye.